y'all, it's Mary, and I am so excited that you're here for this month's topic, which is all about purpose. Y'all, it is a new year, and if we're not careful, we're going to be crafting goals and resolutions that aren't in alignment with our purpose. It's just honestly too easy to get caught up in the comparison game, looking at what everyone else is doing. So this month, I'm going to show you how to anchor back into your unique purpose and help you remember just how meaningful your life really is. All right, let's hop into it.
And now, your host, life and mindset coach, body love advocate, and doTERRA Presidential Diamond, Mary Hyatt.
Hey everybody, it is Mary, and I am so excited for our third episode in this month's topic all around purpose. Y'all know I have brought on a very special expert today. I cannot wait to introduce her to you guys. But before I do that, I just want to recap the last two episodes, because in each month's topic, we have 4 episodes where we had the opportunity to dive deep, and we kind of like start from the top, the basic. And so the first episode that's called What is Your Unique Purpose? I got into the foundation of purpose. We talked about it as a concept, what it is, and just sort of the fact that a lot of people feel pressure when they think about they have to find their purpose and it's got to be one particular thing, and that can feel really overwhelming. So in that episode, I actually walk you through a process of making your purpose so incredibly easy for you to remember, to experience, to live out more as a way of being, rather than it has to be like, hey, I'm going to be a doctor or I'm going to be a school teacher. We talk about it from the standpoint of your essence, your being, and how you relate to the world from that sense of purpose with who you are. So definitely check out that episode. And then last week I had my mom on, which was so fun. She is 65 years old. She's been married for 40 plus years. She's got 5 kids, including myself, 9 grandkids. And so that episode was really cool because she was able to share so much wisdom about what it's like to continually find your purpose through different seasons of life. And being a stay-at-home mom her whole life, adult life, it was just a unique perspective to look at, okay, when your role is supporting others, how do you find a sense of purpose? So if you're a mom, if you are an empty nester, that would be a great episode to rewind, take a listen to. It's called What is the Purpose in This Season of Life? But today, I am so excited because, as you guys know, this is the week where we bring on an expert. And I was searching through Instagram for a purpose coach that I felt like you guys would really resonate with. And I'm excited because I found Lisa Jane just like literally out of the blue. Like I searched it, I saw her Instagram. I was like, this girl is just vibrant. Her vibe is so cool. And so Lisa Jane is a soul purpose coach. She is a speaker. She is an intuitive. I can't wait to like get into that a little bit. Yeah. And her mission is to really help women awaken to their soul's purpose and fully step into it as an entrepreneur. So Lisa Jane, hi, welcome.
Hi, that was such a lovely intro. Thank you so much.
Well, girl, you are a lovely person. I always like love reading people's bios because I hope that the person whose bio I'm reading is like, yeah, I'm kind of a badass. Like, this is great. Because you totally are.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I feel like I'm the audience right now because I don't know a whole lot about you other than what I've seen on Instagram. And I love watching your videos, and I feel like you offer so much beautiful content around helping entrepreneurs find your purpose. But I'm assuming that that's not like where you started from. So I'm curious to know, rewind for us and let us know a little bit about your journey and how you came to be a purpose coach.
Okay, so it's a very interesting story. I was living, basically, I will take you back to what I was doing before this. I was working as a makeup artist, and I was living in London. And I thought that this was my career, right? I thought that this was the career that I was going to do for the rest of my life. I really loved it. I got a chance to be creative. But I quickly realized that when I was doing this work, and although I was working on amazing things like London Fashion Week and fashion shoots, I felt like really empty on the inside. So something was missing. Like I felt this sense of just emptiness in my life. So I really burnt myself out to be a makeup artist. I was running everywhere, all around London, doing all these different jobs. And eventually I hit like a bottom. I burnt myself out like so much that I was just exhausted. I was exhausted. I was sick. I was in this really like difficult place. So I kind of had like a screaming match with the universe. And I'm like, why is my life like this?
Yeah.
Why am I so unhappy? Why am I so burnt out? I thought I was following my dreams. Like I tried everything to make my life better. Yeah. And I heard this really clear voice in my head that said to me, you are on the wrong path.
Wow.
And this is when I had my spiritual awakening. I just had this like spiritual awakening. I just like woke up. It was crazy. And I just realized that I was completely on the wrong path. Wow. Everything in my life wasn't making me happy. I was on this external search for happiness. So I was looking for it outside of me and the career and the job and relationships, everything. And then that's when I went on this search to find my purpose. So like the typical, when people have like a spiritual awakening, they start reading all the books and, listening to like the spiritual teachers and the personal development teachers. I did that, right? I became obsessed, right? Yeah. So I came across Wayne Dyer and I heard him talk about having a purpose, right? I watched his movie, The Shift, and my whole body like lit up. I was like, what is this thing? What is purpose? Like, I have to find this. This man is so happy.
Yes.
So I started again. I was looking at all the books. I was listening to the spiritual teachers. I was trying so hard to find my purpose, but I was still working as a makeup artist at this point. I was still burning myself out to a certain extent, and I was still feeling unfulfilled. And I really struggled to like find my purpose. It was a struggle. And I could feel deep within me that I was here to do something more, but I just didn't know what it was. So eventually I hit another bottom. And that time I realized that if I wanted to find my purpose, I had to go within myself. So that was a big turning point where I decided that I was going to start meditating every single day, which I did. Wow. I meditated with the intention to find my purpose. And when I meditated, I connected with my soul, with my higher power, with the universe. And I started to receive all of these visions about my purpose. Like, wow. I saw myself having the online business. I saw myself coaching women. I saw myself speaking. I saw myself like doing events. And eventually I figured out that this was coming through because I was here to help women go within to discover their purpose, right? So it just became my calling, and I followed all of those visions, all of those downloads, and that's where I am today. And that is exactly what I help other women to do, to really go within, to look, to receive those downloads, to receive the guidance from their higher power, from their soul, and to move into their purpose, to make this their career, their business, the work that they do.
Gosh, it's so powerful. And it's kind of interesting to me because this story, while it's so unique to you in the way that sort of like fleshed itself out, was about your specific path. There are so many things that I resonate with just in my own journey. And as a coach myself, I'm sure you can relate to this. Like, it's so common, like that kind of moment where you go, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. I'm so burnt out. And I think what's so fascinating for you is that, to me, that's like a telltale sign that you're not living your purpose. When there's exhaustion, sickness, burnout, like those are the warning signs. And I think what's neat about your experience is that, and I think this is typical, is that we always tend to go out first external first. Like, let me go learn, let me go gather information and knowledge from people who know more. And I think the graduation point is when we realize we already have everything that we need inside of us and to go internal. So how do you guide your clients or other entrepreneurs, like how to do that? Like, do you say it's fine to go out and do all the books and read all the things and have that experience first? Or do you try to help them go inwards first? Like, what's your process for that?
Okay. Well, obviously feel like there's so much value in the books and, learning from other people. Like, that's amazing. So I don't discourage people to do that. But when they are looking for their purpose and they're feeling confused, I will guide them to go within. So I typically I have a ton of guided meditations that specifically help you to go within, invite in your soul, invite in your higher self, your higher power, connect with that energy, and then start asking it questions. Right. And I guide them on how to like listen, because everyone has like a different way of listening. So some people get visions, some people just get thoughts, some people hear the guidance, some people feel it. So I will guide my clients to do that first, because I know that the answers are all within them.
Yeah.
So I really want to connect them to that. I don't want to give them the answers. I want them to connect to the answers, because I know that's what's going to change their life.
Totally. Well, and I think that number one, I'm like, yes, that's such a good coach. It's like, you've already got it. I'm just here to guide you. But I think that I hear this from my clients all the time. And that is that, like, exactly to your point, that they will often try to sit in meditation and they feel really frustrated. Like, their mind is literally just bouncing around, thinking about everything else, and they don't see visions or they don't hear words, and they're kind of have this preconceived idea of like what they're supposed to get out of meditation. So do you think that each person sort of has, like you were saying, like a specific way that they receive information? And how do you even figure that out? Like, how do you know which way is like your way?
Yeah. So I mean, I will speak to my clients and try and figure out, are you a more visual person? Do you like to listen to things more? And I try and figure out what their gift is. And it can, for some people, if you're not used to meditating, it can take time to receive that. So if they don't receive the answers through meditation, what I do is I do like journaling exercises with them to connect to their desires. So your desires are basically also visions and guidance from your soul. So we can receive the answers that way too.
Okay, this is so good. I want to like tap into this because I think that this is, I'm like putting the pieces together around we're receiving these messages. And even if they're not like this perfect vision that says, here's what you're meant to do and here's what you're going to do, that can come through our preferences, through our desires, through our longing of specific things. And I know that was so true for me, kind of like your story, where it was like, there's got to be more to this. Like, I thought this was the thing I was meant to do, but there's got to be more. And there was this desire, there was this longing of something else. So how can people begin to notice those desires? Because I think oftentimes for a lot of my audience growing up in Christian background, like desire was kind of a taboo word. Like that's not necessarily like something that you want to go find and explore. It's like a little bit like, ooh, I'm not sure about my desire. So how do you walk people through first being okay with having desires, and then second, following that path to uncovering those more?
I will take them through certain journal questions that actually tap into what they truly desire and what they want. So, for example, I will ask them the specific question like, you had all the money in the world and there were no limitations. What kind of work would you do? So that then takes them out of what they think they should do or what they think they can do, into what they actually would love to do, right?
Yeah.
So this is getting into the question, what would you love to do? And another question I love to ask them is like, who do you admire the most, right? Who do you truly, truly admire?
Yeah.
Because the people that you admire are actually showing you what you desire, right?
So good.
And when you truly admire someone, on some level, they have the same purpose as you. They have the same mission. Your mission will look different. Of course, you're here to do it in your way, but there's something about what they are doing that you are also here to do.
Yeah.
So I really ask these questions that tap into what it is that they desire, rather than trying to be like, what is it that you want? Because people are like, I don't know.
Right. Totally. It's, I think my mom was talking about this last week, just like how powerful questions can be to help you get to the truth. And when you ask a really good question, it opens that door to possibility and starts to kind of like get the wheels turning of like, okay, if I'm feeling unsatisfied, if I'm like looking at my life and I'm going, I don't feel like I have purpose. I don't feel like I have meaning. I'm feeling lost. Okay, what am I instinctively drawn to? What lights me up? What brings joy into my life? Like what gets me excited? And then to think about that idea of like, if anything were possible, because I think one of the things that is so common is that people have rules on what their purpose can be. And like limitations, like,
yes,
I can do this, I can't do this based on all kinds of things. What are some of the like typical limiting beliefs that people have around their purpose? Or like, what are the typical rules that people present with that's like, well, I can't because XYZ? Have you found like there are similar ones that show up with your clients?
Yeah, a lot of the time people don't think that they're good enough, or they don't think that they're worthy of the things that they desire, or they don't think that that's possible for them. Or a lot of the time they're just like, I don't know what I want. Like, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't even know what I want. I don't know what lights me up. And that's a limiting belief, because they do know, right? So when I work with them, I start to dig in and we get there, right? But they just have this belief that they don't know.
That honestly, like just thinking about that they do know. And I would imagine like there's resistance even from that get go, like, no, but I really don't, And it's like, but I think what it is that we haven't been taught how to hear that inside of ourselves. Like what we hear is the expectations of others. What we hear is those kinds of excuses like, I couldn't do this, like people wouldn't approve, or I'm too old, or I'm too young, or all the different things that we think would allow us not to be able to live out our purpose. And we think that is the voice, like we don't know, but really it's just all those judgments and expectations coming in that are blocking us from hearing that. And I know that one of your gifts or strengths is that intuitive part. And a lot of people don't feel like they have access to really, really hear their intuition. So if you were to guide like a brand new person who'd never experienced like really cultivating that relationship with their intuition, what are the baby steps to get somebody started on beginning to hear that voice?
I think the biggest practice that you can do to start hearing your intuition is meditation.
Yeah.
I think meditation every single day helps you to just really connect with yourself on a deeper level. You're closing, you're not listening to the outside world. You're closing yourself off and you're connecting with yourself. And another tool that's awesome is journaling, like journaling every single day, asking yourself questions, like getting to know yourself on that deeper level. And then as you practice the meditation and the journaling, you realize that your intuition starts to open up more and more and more, and you learn to trust it.
Yeah. I like that word relationship. Like it is a relationship. It's something that you have to give time to and invest in, because it's just like anything else. The more that you show up and listen to a friend or to a lover or whomever, it's like there's that trust that gets built, and that opens up more and more. You really start to see that person more and more. And the same, I think, with our intuition, like the more we begin to hear it, the more we recognize its voice, the nuances of it when we're in relationship with it. And like you said, it's daily. And I love that, like, this simplicity of meditation and journaling. Like we hear that all the time, but there's a reason. Like it's so important. It's like, if everybody's talking about it, there must be something to it, like, okay, great. I know you specifically work with entrepreneurs. And I
Yeah.
love that because I think that when you step out and you do something really brave, like start your own business, oftentimes it's wrapped around your purpose. And I know that at the beginning of any kind of entrepreneurial journey, there is this season where when you're a one-man show, one-woman show, it's like so overwhelming. Like you're doing everything. You're editing your video, you're doing social media, you're responding to the emails, like everything is up to you, and it's exhausting. And I find that, people set out and they think that this is going to be like the most amazing experience because it's what they're excited about. And then it ends up being something that they hate. How do you like walk them back to that sense of purpose again inside of their business as an
Okay, so this
entrepreneur?
is this is a really interesting question. So I feel like, and you will be able to resonate with this, as when we understand our purpose and we're like, okay, I want to start a business. We again go out there and we start to learn from all the people and we do all the trainings and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, a lot of it isn't really aligned with what you really want. So how I work with my clients is I get them to make sure that everything that they're doing in their business actually feels good and lights them up. Right. And if not, you can hire someone else, or if not, just don't do it, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's necessary.
Yeah.
But it's again that like alignment and trusting the intuition, because this was my journey. I went out there, I did a lot of things that were completely out of alignment, that didn't get me anywhere, that started to make me feel like I was burning out. So I had to get real with myself and ask, what's bringing me joy? How do I want to do this? What is lighting me up? And following that within the business, like trusting that intuitive guidance within the business, rather than trying to do like everything and doing what I think I should do, right? Because this is the catch here, right? We follow what we should do, but really it's like, what do we want to do?
Yeah.
And trying to incorporate that more into it. And if it's something that I don't like, someone else can do it.
Yeah. And that's scary. I mean, like, I want to like bring some like humanness to this, because I think that the misperception is that this is going to be like effortless or easy. And I think that I mean, ultimately when you're in alignment, it is easier, but I think that there is this element of like courage and bravery. Because I like, for example, I'm just thinking, so one of the things that I feel like is just totally out of alignment for me in my purpose is social media. Okay. Like I freaking hate it. I've talked about this a lot, and I'm just like biding my time before I like really take the leap to get off. And I think there are oftentimes things in our business like that we go, but in order to be successful, I have to do this thing. Like, just like everybody else is doing it, I have to do it because it's the way you do it, quote unquote. But what I love to think about is like our soul, our purpose is not limited by this time and space. So for example, like our soul isn't saying, well, you can't live your purpose unless you're on social media. Like that would be like ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like there's like the soul is limitless. The soul is like full of infinite possibility. There are 1.5 million ways to do things. There are 1 million people that are successful without social media. Now, if it brought me joy, that would be a whole different conversation. But there have been things in my business that have felt so crucial. Like I have to do this or I can't be successful, even though they zapped my joy. Like for example, I have to send out email marketing campaigns or I can't be successful. And I've been really challenged on that over the past several years of like, what if that weren't true? Like, what if you didn't have to do these things in order to be successful? And I think that is a really interesting concept to think about, the soul being beyond like what the normal practices are for success as we see it when we're comparing ourselves to what other people are doing on social media. How do you help people like make some of those like hard and brave decisions when it seems counterintuitive or counterculture? Like What is that process like? Have you experienced having to work with somebody through something like that?
Yeah, my client that I have right now, she hates social media.
Yeah.
she, she's like, I don't want to use social media. It's draining me. So I really helped her tap into like, well, what is it that you want to do? Like, how do you
Yeah.
want to do it? If you don't want to use social media, like what would light you up? So I walked her through a process and we discovered that she actually loves to do in-person things. She
Yeah.
wants to do events. She wants to speak. She wants to do retreats. She understands that the social media will help her, but her focus now is going to be in this area and she's going to hire some for social media. So
Nice.
I guess again, like walking through like the limiting beliefs with that too, like understanding like, do you really need this? Like, is it really part of what you need? Is there anyone out there who is successful that isn't using this, right?
Yeah.
So for example, you're saying about email marketing. I'm the same. I hate email marketing.
Yeah.
So I started to challenge myself. I'm like, is there people out there who aren't doing it, but they're successful? And I found people who were very successful, they hardly send any emails. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so here's my proof that it can work without that. I understand why we could need it, but there is proof that it's not 100% necessary. So
Totally.
again, looking for that proof will help you too to see that there's other ways. And then
Mm.
also just really tapping within and asking, like, how do I want to do this? Like, really tapping into that intuition and being guided. Like, if social media is not for me, if email marketing is not for me, like, what is for me? I've had to do this with myself so many
Yeah.
times. Like, there's so many things I did. Like, I had a blog and I hated it. It's like, I don't
Yes.
like writing. What's going on?
I love it.
I don't really like writing. So my big thing was writing captions on Instagram every day. It was driving me insane. I was like, I don't want to do this. So I challenged myself. I was like, well, who doesn't write that many captions? So I found this coach. I love her. She pretty much just makes videos every day. And
Yeah.
that's what I want to do. I'm just like, I just want to be in video. And it works. She's successful. She makes a lot of money. So then the brain starts to be like, okay, so I can do it this way.
Yes. Oh, it is. It's possibility thinking. It's opening up to, I think the
Yeah.
presupposition is there's a solution. Like first and foremost, I have to know that like there is a way. And if I can start from that place, then I can start getting curious. Like, oh, what's so and so doing, or how might I go about this if it's not social media or if it's not captions, like what else could I maybe do? And I love that. Like, let's do video. Why not? Or I mean, if for some people, it's like they just want to do a graphic. They don't want to have to do photo shoots all the time or be on camera or be seen in that way. Great. You don't have to. There are plenty of people that are successful that
Yeah.
are not like, you don't even ever know who is like behind the account, for example. There are so many coaches that are based on referral only. There are
Mm-hmm.
businesses that it's possible for you to not be the center of attention, where it's just about the product, for example. So there are so many options. And to me, the beautiful thing about the human mind is that we really are creative. Like we really are so amazingly brilliant and can figure out. It's like the quote, everything is figure outable. I'll figure it out. Like if I can start with that, like I don't
Yeah.
know what it is yet, but I'll figure it out. And I love what you're saying about going in, like going internal. So when you're asking yourself, hey, what is this issue? How could I figure this out? I'm going to reference myself first. I'm going to reference higher power first. I'm going to reference soul first. Gosh, it's so simple. And yet we don't do that.
Yeah.
We
I
forget.
think, yeah, we've been so programmed though that to believe the answers are outside of us. We've been so programmed that if we want something, we have to learn a bunch of stuff. Of course, we still have to
Yeah.
learn, right? I do believe that. But if we're relying so much on that to give us the answers and we're not asking ourselves, well, how do I want to do it? Then we start doing a bunch of things that are out of alignment and don't feel
Right.
good, right? And that's when the stress comes and we start feeling like, oh my God,
Totally.
I don't want to do this,
Ah,
right? So it's
yeah.
really finding finding that balance of like, how much are you going to learn and how much are you going to listen to yourself? And then when you're learning from someone else who has what you want, just checking in and asking yourself, like, does this feel good for me? Do I want to do this in this way?
Yeah.
You know, and if the answer is no, then don't do it, because there's, as you said, like there's an abundance of ways that you can live your purpose and do your purpose work. Like there's so many ways. There's not just one one set
That's
way.
a great reminder. Like there are many expressions of that purpose.
Yeah, exactly. And I have really learned from experience to really own in on this, and like every single part of like my business, to like the social media platform that I use, to the posts that I make, I'm always asking myself, like, is this how I want to do it? Right. And if the answer is like no, and if I keep doing it and it's not bringing me joy, I'm like, no, I just can't, you know?
Yeah. Well, in some way it's like it's living out of integrity.
Right.
You know, it's like if I am having to muster all this energy up and fake it and pretend that I'm like loving something, but I really hate it and I really don't love it, like that's being out of integrity with yourself. That's going against like the wisdom of your body, the wisdom of your soul, and doing it because you feel like you should. And that's never going to give you what you want. I mean, it's just like ends up being miserable and suffering. It's such a helpful reminder to ask yourself that question. Like, do I like this? Do I want to be doing this? Like, and if the answer is no, then stop, like freaking stop.
Right.
It's so good to just be able to give yourself permission. I think that's a big thing. Like, it's okay if I don't want to do this. It's okay if I don't like this. Like, there are other ways. And I think that we're not imprisoned by the set way. I mean, any kind of innovation that has happened over the history of man has happened because somebody has looked at a way it was being done and saying there's a different way of doing this, and the belief that there's a better way of doing it. And I feel like, at least where I'm at with my social media, it's like there's a better way for me to do this and to show up, and it's not this. And that, to me, it's like when we can get to that place of, again, there must be something else, there must be something more, that's a really cool place to be, because then it opens up so much. And this is kind of a weird like segue, but I want to go almost like pretend I should have probably asked this at the beginning of the episode, but I'm curious because this is the work that you do, like as a purpose coach. Why is it that you feel like purpose in and of itself is so important for us to understand and to know within ourselves? Like why do this work? Like why help people to purpose? Why is it important?
I guess it began because of my own transformation. Before I really discovered what my purpose was in life, before I had those experiences of meditation, or I even had my spiritual awakening, I went through my life believing that I wasn't good enough. Like I wasn't worthy. Like I couldn't have like this good life that I wanted to have. And I had all these stories, all of these false beliefs about myself. And when I started to meditate and connect with my soul and receive those visions, it blew my mind. It blew my mind about what I was seeing was possible for myself. Like I was seeing who I truly was. And that impacted my life so much. Like so many shifts happened after that. Like I quit my jobs. I went on this path to starting my business. I started doing work that truly filled me up. I started to feel a feeling of fulfillment and joy and like love for myself that I'd never ever felt before.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I can help other people find that, like that's what I want to do. Like I want to help other people just tap into that for themselves.
Totally. It is so powerful. We talked about this a little bit, like here and there on the previous episodes, about the thing that we struggle with, or the thing that we experience in our own transformation oftentimes is the thing that we want to share with others, ends up becoming our purpose. And it doesn't feel like that in the moment. You know, it's like, this is hard and it's murky and it's dark and I don't know what's going on. But it's like, when you get through the other side, it's like, oh my God, I didn't even know that I could change this much, that this would be my life now. And again, it's like, not that it's all rainbows and butterflies and unicorns, but there's this like overarching sense of there's meaning here. There's purpose here. I'm contributing. I'm offering something to the world in some way, even if it's just like being a good listener or being able to relate and have empathy to other people that have been on a similar journey as you. But, specifically for you, obviously you're getting to do this like with clients very intimately. What have you seen in your clients when like you get to that place where they really remember their purpose or they tap into that? What have you seen as a benefit for your clients? Like what's the reward? What's the payoff that they're getting by understanding their purpose?
So usually when I get someone to discover their purpose or even get like a vision or something, like the reaction I always get is like they either want to cry or they get goosebumps and they just get like really excited about their life. Like they have like this fire. They want to start doing this work. They want to change the direction of their life and the work they're doing. So my client right now that I'm working with, we really owned in on her purpose a couple of weeks ago. And now she feels on fire. She's like, I want to do these events. I'm reaching out to these people. Like, I just want to get this out there. So it's like that fire, like that passion within them when they realize that they can do something they feel really passionate about and they can help others with it.
Yeah.
And that brings a joy that nothing externally can bring you.
Yeah.
Right. That brings a feeling of meaning in your life. It brings a feeling of just like importance in your life. That's the biggest takeaway that I love when I get people to that point. It's like, I know that I'm here for something. I'm here to contribute. I'm here to help others. And they just get so fired up and they just want to dive in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like childlike, isn't it? Like this, like enthusiasm of just people. I love that too. Where it's like all of a sudden there's this focus. There's almost like a clarity that comes like just a crisp vision of like, okay, I'm going to do this thing now. I'm going to create this thing. I'm going to offer this thing. I'm going to embark on this journey. And I think that as humans, we want to have a sense of purpose. We want to know where we're going. We want to know that it's something that someplace that is meaningful, either to ourselves or for others. And I think that clarity is so important because I think what zaps our energy more times than not is that I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I know it's not this, but I don't know what it is. Yeah. Like the confusion, the doubt, just that kind of lackluster sense of going through the motions. It's Groundhog's Day. We're just doing the same freaking thing over and over and over again. And I love that purpose. It's like, okay, like there's a mission here. There is meaning here. Like it is. It's like it gets you up. And I mean, I know for me, getting clearer and clearer and clearer, like every year I feel like I like hone in on my mission, my purpose more and more, and it evolves, and it's, I'm getting new downloads and all of that. And it's what I love is like, there's a reason I wake up in the morning. There's a reason that I feel like I am offering something. I'm making some kind of an impact, even just in my closest relationships with my family and my friends. Like forget the work piece of it for a second. Just in my relationships and the way that I'm living out my life and touching people, strangers, all of that. But then also from the standpoint of what I do as work, even more so, getting to spread that impact. And it does. It's like, there's an element of I'm awake and I'm here and I'm going to utilize this time. It's really beautiful. So cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to use something that you said as an example. So the client that I have now, she was very in that place where she would wake up in the emotions. Like she was like, I'm just sleeping in. I feel like my life has no purpose. Like she just felt very, very stuck in her life. But now that we've found her purpose, she, as a client I was telling you about, where she's fired up, she's reaching out to places to do events. She's so excited. She's having all these ideas. So that's like the transformation that happens when you really understand what the purpose is.
Yeah. It makes me think about that quote from Tony Robbins. He says, growth equals happiness. And there's this idea that if we're growing, if we're working towards something, if we're expanding, that is happiness. Like human beings, like we want to be challenged. We want to be, have some like skin in the game. We want to be working towards something. And that brings us happiness. That brings us a sense of accomplishment. It brings us a sense of, I matter. I matter in the world. I matter to other around me. I'm not just sort of like taking up space. And I think that's why purpose is so powerful, is it's like, it combats that I'm not enough. And it combats that by saying, I actually matter. Who I am, the impact that I have matters. Even if it's tiny, if it's with my, my immediate circle to thousands and millions of people, it all is the same. You matter. And I think that's what's so beautiful about this purpose. I feel like we could just like go on and on and on and talk about this, but I want to make sure that as we wrap up, how can people find you? How can people work with you? How do they connect with you?
Okay. So if we can just leave my Instagram is at LisaJane_coach. And my website's been done up right now. So if you can just reach me on Instagram, that's the place where you can find out what I'm offering. Right now, I'm doing one-on-one purpose coaching, and it's for people who desire to be an entrepreneur. So that doesn't necessarily mean an online entrepreneur. I help women obviously with the online part, but if you feel like you want to do like events, if you feel like you want to do retreats, all that kind of thing, I help you get clear on your purpose and then create this career that is aligned with your purpose based on what you truly desire to do. So you can find out all about that on Instagram.
Cool. Yeah. And y'all, you've got to go follow her. She's so great. And I do love all your videos. It's nice. I think video is such a powerful way of communicating, and you're so great on camera that it's just fun to consume your content. So I'll link to all of that
Thank you.
Below, so you guys can go find Lisa Jane. Any last words of anything that we didn't get to that you want to mention or share, or any advice?
So yeah, I feel like maybe just the last couple of things. If people are confused about what their purpose work is, like, as we said before, I just always want you to look at your own transformation. That could be the transformation you're in the middle of right now, but looking at your own transformation and understanding how you can use that to help others is going to open up so many doors to your purpose, to understand the kind of work that you're here to do, right? You're really here to guide people through that same transformation, right? In a way that feels good, in a way that lights you up. And again, just tapping in, tap in every morning, like meditation, journaling, inviting in your soul, asking questions, and just seeing what comes through. And that is just the best way to get the answers, to discover your purpose. It doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah. That's such a great reminder. Like, I say this often to my clients, but like, what if it were easy? What if it were easy? Yeah. What if it didn't have to be such a challenge or so hard or such a struggle? Like, if it were easy, what do you already know? If it were easy, what would you do? Like, that's just that idea of letting go of it having to be hard, I think is so powerful. Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah.
Y'all, I hope you have enjoyed this as much as I have. Of course, please share your takeaways on social media. Shoot me an email. Let me know what you've got out of today's episode. Tag me, tag Lisa Jane, and share it with all the ladies in your life, all the girlfriends in your life that would really benefit from this episode. But I'm excited to be with you next week for our final episode of this month's topic of purpose. I can't believe it's like already at the end of this month. It has just flown by, but I've got a amazing last episode for you. So thank you, Lisa Jane. You're amazing. I so appreciate your time. And y'all, just remember that the purpose of life is to be grateful, to be great, and to be full. We'll see you next time. Bye. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you got some amazing nuggets to take home and start implementing into your life. And if you're looking for the show notes and links, head on over to maryhyatt.com/show. And if you loved it, why not bring your girlfriends along this journey of becoming fully alive with you? Just give a quick share of this episode to your social channels and enjoy those debriefing convos with your besties. Thanks again, and I can't wait to connect with you next week.